But in world sport right now involves a Saudi-funded Live Golf Tour, which, in the words of Rory McIlroy, has ripped golf apart.
From once being longtime professional buddies to starting an all-out war against each other, Greg Norman and Rory McIlroy's dispute is getting out of hand, and it's heating up as the Irishman took another brutal shot at his rival. The PGA chief has had enough of Norman, and he gave him one final threatening warning. He was criticizing how Saudi funds were the only thing keeping the league going, and that they had no other incentive going for them apart from the tons of money that they kept throwing. And he didn't just stop there. He came down on the boss man himself. McIlroy said that Norman, a millionaire in his own right, was greedy for money too. He further said that there was no way the two towers could ever settle their differences. Working together might be the only way out of this mess of lawsuits and disputes. But he said it was impossible, and Norman was the one who was responsible for it. He said that Norman needs to exit stage left and needs to let an adult into the room. McIlroy admitted that he certainly made his mark, because starting up Live was no small achievement, but this thing won't take off the ground if there isn't someone in charge trying to fix things. So yeah, they're in a stalemate at the moment, and there's no end in sight. Norman couldn't take the insults anymore, and he fired back too. He was in an interview and the topic of PGA versus Live came up, and he said that McIlroy better be careful of what he says, because he doesn't know anything about Live. He roasted him for uselessly sitting on the Player Advisory Council and for only having limited knowledge about the PGA's workings. He admitted that he used to be a fan of his nemesis, and it takes a big person to admit that. But now it was time for him to sit back, watch himself be proven wrong, and just witness Live taking off. A lot of professional analysts and golfers had said from the start that Live wouldn't amount to anything, and marked it doomed for failure. People like McIlroy would sit and laugh as the tour was struggling initially, but now they're all quiet, because Live has gone above and beyond anybody's wildest expectations. And from here, it's only going to grow. They only had their beta season just now, and I'm just so excited to see a fully equipped and fully established Live come into action. Even the players are strolling into 2023 with an air of excitement, because Live has promised more than they even asked for, and it's been going well on its promises so far. And 2023 is going to be a big year for the Breakaway Tour. Despite all their bickering, McIlroy is giving credit where credit is due for the rival league. Surprised? Me too, because he's been the most vocal about his dislike for Live, and especially Greg Norman. But he said that he can't just ignore everything he's done for the PGA. What has he actually done though? So, Live actually introduced a completely new format, one that had no cuts and reduced fields, and the biggest change, also paid more. So what the PGA did to keep up was that they essentially copied this new format and revamped the PGA as well. McIlroy said that he wouldn't lie, and the PGA finally having such a competitor actually did a lot of good for the league. It had a massive impact and forced them to renovate and come up with ideas that fit into the 21st century. Every professional golfer, whether they're PGA or Live, is going to be benefiting a lot from all this. The PGA is now going to have 12 events besides their 4 majors, and the prize purse is now a whopping $20 million, way more than what it was before. Obviously, Live noticed this uncanny resemblance to their trademark deal and wasn't going to let their chance to mock their rival go. They tweeted from their official account and said that imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and that the PGA was finally embracing the future. Everyone knows it's true. Even the PGA golfers slowly admitted that they were at fault. McIlroy said that he hates what the Live has done to the golfing system, and how it caused such a big divide between its players. The DP and the PGA Tours have felt this the worst since they're missing half their players. Some of their most famous players, Ian Poulter and Sergio Garcia, are now in the embrace of the LIV, but McIlroy also said that he understood how the LIV came around, and admitted that it was because the PGA had become way too complacent. They were the biggest golf league for like the last 60 to 70 years, and they literally had no rival in the industry at all. Players were stuck too, like they literally had nowhere else to go, so they had to bear whatever the PGA decided to inflict on them. And now, because of LIV, they've finally realized they need to innovate on their outdated system to actually keep the players they have. And since they finally realized they're in the 21st century, they're having to catch up with the media too. Now realizing the potential of platforms like TikTok and Instagram, they're desperately trying to win back their audience away from the clutches of the LIV. And in the end, the players are the ones benefiting. Pros like Jon Rahm also admitted the same thing, but he was more direct with it. Rahm said that without a doubt, LIV helped golfers everywhere, and everyone should be thanking Norman and the people who helped make the new league possible. He said he wished it didn't come down to this, that PGA should have been responsible enough to treat its players better, without someone else coming along and forcing them to change things for the better. So yeah, without LIV, we wouldn't have seen any of this progress. But Norman and McIlroy's dispute is throwing the golfing world out of balance. Fans are upset, and so are golfers. Taylor Gooch is playing with fire. He is defected over to LIV, but recently he just offered up high praise for his biggest rival, Rory McIlroy. He left the PGA in 2022, but says that he has a lot of respect for the teammates he had there. When he was asked about his top 3 golfers rankings, he didn't mention his boss, Greg Norman, and instead said that he really admired Rory McIlroy. This is exactly what's wrong with the toxic environment the dispute between the PGA and LIV has created. People take sides, and other people end up getting hurt because of it. McIlroy hasn't responded yet, but mark my words, he also isn't going to pass up the opportunity to take a dig at Norman for this, and the cycle will go on. And as for Taylor, he's probably going to have to be in some really awkward situations as he arrives on LIV's latest tour, and has to face Norman one-on-one. Another outcome of their feud is that the player's choice to accept LIV's money has had catastrophic results. Those whose PGA Tour memberships weren't taken away have been suspended for a long time. LIV's 54-hole, no-cut format disqualifies it from official world golf ranking points, which makes it very difficult for LIV players to advance to majors if they aren't already qualified. By making it through to its second season, LIV Golf has defied the odds set by the PGA, and at the same time, it has denied McIlroy the satisfaction of being right. That's all for LIV Golf CEO Greg Norman taking a shot at Rory McIlroy.